We are, yes, I think we are all here. I will just welcome you to this workshop. I will present Jonathan, our moderator for this moment. Jonathan Mastellari is a sociologist and also a social worker and the president and project manager of Intersectionalities and More, which is an organization that works on the needs related to intersectionality with a specific focus on gender and LGBTI Q+ topics. So his presentation this morning aims to present the Italian situation and understanding and showing the needs and ideas for future. So Jonathan, I will give you the floor now. Any questions, please write them down in the chat and I will be keeping track of them. And then at the end, we will present and debate a little bit. Jonathan, you will have around 25 minutes, okay? Because we need to finish around 12:40. But I will be, if I do this, it's for your time to end.
Okay.
Okay, I will give you now the floor. Thank you.
Thank you to you. So good morning. Thank you, Rita. And thank you even for the invitation. So actually, I think that 25 minutes are enough. I speak very fast, but English is not my mother tongue, so probably I will take more time. I'm going to introduce myself. As Rita told just a second before, I'm the president of YAM. You can see the flag behind me because I didn't know how to put here in my picture. YAM was born actually just 2 years ago because we born from other organization, older organization that were already in Italy. We are based in Bologna. If you don't know where Bologna is between Florence and Milan, so in the north of Italy, and is a medium-sized city. But actually, we work at national level because we were one of the first organizations in Italy that just that was born with a specific item. Our item is to work with LGBTI minorities. It means that we work with LGBTI migrants and refugees, people with disability, just physical disabilities, because mental health is a total different situation, different needs, different approach. So we just focus only about physical disability, and we work even with senior topics. I work with senior topics since 2012 with another organization, with Archigay, that is the main LGBT organization in Italy. And we started to work with this project only dedicated to LGBTI senior people here in Bologna, but that was the first project in Italy. So at the beginning, we started to focus at the first time only about the local level, and then we understood that in Italy something like that was missing. So there was a lack of a project dedicated to LGBTI senior people and LGBTI aging community. So we started to work at the national level. Someone told what I'm going to tell you now before, but one of the most and biggest problem in Italy is the lack of number. So as you know, the lack of numbers brings even the lack of policies, of specific policies. So without specific policies, there are no solutions for needs, even for houses for senior people, even in the social work, for the social workers don't have any training, specific trainings for this, and so it's quite difficult to work about this kind of things. Our organization is an organization that is in the advisory board of Best4Older project. So previously of Best4Older project, we even started to work with Anziani Non Solo, that is the Italian organization that is member of Best4Older project, and Antonio and Solo work specifically about senior needs and about senior problems. So we started to understand what to do even in the small villages, because actually, as you know, most of the organization, LGBT organization, but not only in Italy, I think around the world internationally, are based in the biggest cities. It means that many people that live in a smaller villages and or, for example, in Italy, in the smaller provinces, because you know uh, there is a difference between the LGBTI situation in north of the country and even in the south of the country. Even about, if we talk about the number of LGBTI and queer organizations that are based in our region. So the north of Italy, you can find more organizations that work about and for this kind of rights, for this kind of communities. And the south, you find some organization, the biggest one like RTGay, but it's very, very difficult to find specific and smaller project that work on smaller and specific communities. So with Licha, we started to understand how to approach and how to try to create some trainings for people that even work in places that are not next to our offices. So Licha is based in Carpi and YAM is based in Bologna, that are not far, but are in the same region. So our region is Emilia-Romagna. And this is not easy because, you know, this workshop has the name Activism. In the name, you can find activism. And one of the biggest problems when we talk about LGBTI senior communities, and even the problem that many of these people had with activism during this year, the last decades. It means that probably some of them had some problem with other activists, had some problem with some organization. They don't want to be activists anymore. So it's not easy to involve them again, one more time in the LGBTI life, active life in the organization in Italy. This is a very, very big problem. It means that it's not easy to involve them anymore, and without involving people, it's not even easy to understand what they need. Because of course I work with this kind of topics since 2012, but I'm 34 years old now, so I don't know if I will be senior or not. I cannot know the future, but I can understand what they need, because I work with LGBTI communities in the last 10 years. But of course, I don't live this kind of identity in this moment of my life. So what happened? We created some survey, and we created even some how can I tell, some moments in the AMA organization where LGBTI senior people met, even from other regions, even from other small place where they live, and they came to our meetings, and we understood what they wanted. Actually, that was very complicated, because some of them, they miss, for example, the possibility to join some moments, specific moments at LGBTI community. For example, as you know, internationally, not only in Italy, the communication that you find about LGBTI topics, most of the time you find young people, and you find white people, young people, so there is ageism. They are not represented by this kind of covers, for example, or in the advertisement that you find online. If you go in some discourse, of course, there is no written that senior people cannot enter. Of course, this is not what happened, but some of them they don't feel comfortable inside some Discord or in some evenings parties that you can find here, but even around the world. So that was not easy during our meetings to understand what they need and what they want, because some of them, for example, want some meetings with old style music. For other people, for other senior people, this is something that they don't want to do, or they don't need that because they don't want to feel young again, or they don't feel themselves as aging people. So they prefer to have some meetings with brand new music or something with other kind of music that was not the music of the past. Uh, some of them want to have some, for example, sex worker in the parties because they don't feel attractive anymore. But as we told before, for example, they are still active in the sexuality. So they think that paying someone is something that solves the problem. Someone else say that is something that is not moral. So it's not easy. For this reason, we gave the possibility to give a shape of this kind of meetings and give a shape of what they want for the future, even for in the life of the organization. But that was very, very complicated. So one of the things that we understood, for example, that could be used for to have in Italy a co-housing. So co-housing is not a house for people that is not active and active anymore, but it's a space where you have some specific place in common, like the kitchen or like the place where you have the television, so you can see the television, watch at the television all together. But in Italy, we had even a problem about that because some organization told that something like that were burning in, for example, in Rome and even in our city in Bologna. So some organization told this, creating some expectative, some positive feelings in some senior people, even from abroad, because Italy is considered like a tourist country, but even a place where some people come from other countries to spend their the last part of their life here. So some of these people understood that there were in future the possibility, there will be in future the possibility to have this kind of things in Italy, but this was a fake news because some organization tried to do that. Some other organization used that like I don't know, like a visibility possibility. So they said that, but it was not true. So in Italy now we don't have anything like this. We have some projects like our project in some provinces, but there are no co-housing. And this is something that we are missing and we want to create. Of course, for example, we visited the Fundación, the name of in Spanish, but okay, is a foundation in Madrid that they created co-housing in Madrid. We moved from Bologna to Madrid to visit this experience, and this was a very nice experience. They at the beginning they had something like the senior community of the organization hosted some other senior activists or other people that are not activists but in their home. So there was something like a hosting project for people that they didn't want to live alone anymore, so they shared space but in private houses, so not in a co-housing but in private houses. And after that, Madrid, the organization in Madrid received space for free from the municipality, and in that organization, in that place, they created a bigger space where they do the activities of their project, of the project of the organization, but they they can have some even place where people that don't want to stay alone at home can move and live all together. So this is a very nice project. What we are trying to do is even something like what the Dutch organization in the other workshop are creating is like a brand that you can give to NGOs or organization, even private organization that provide services for senior, that certificate that their services are quality services. So something like a pink brand, the Dutch one I think is pink, but of course the color is not important, but something like that they can put in their advertisement or in their website, and it defines, it shows that they receive training or they can assure some basic requirement or some basic services to get the queer senior communities comfortable in their spaces. Another project that we are doing is like an archive, or something like we are collecting oral memories of LGBTI senior people in Italy, because you know senior people generally is like are like people that save the memories of a community, and LGBTI people, if we think about, we don't never think about LGBT people like a minority that doesn't come, is quite different from the other minorities. It means that if you think about Roma people, for example, they born from a Roma family. LGBTI people don't born in LGBTI families, so a LGBTI person can born everywhere in all the families. So the memories and the story, the history of our community is difficult to find, is difficult to provide in some website. I mean, maybe we can find some private archive, some private collection of some materials, but now is born in Italy is born a project, a specific project in Torino, is in another city, because in Torino was born the first organization Fuori, is the Italian, the first and the most important LGBTI organization that were born during the end of 60s and the beginning of the 70s, more or less, if I'm not wrong. And they started to work with their municipality to build an online archive or online website that can shows the history of the community, of our community. Now we are trying to do something like this here in Bologna. We are doing some interviews about LGBTI life stories, senior life stories, to understand what they need, what they want, what could be their program in the future, because we see most of the people see to the old part of the communities as people that don't have future. This is not true. For example, in Italy, we have one of the oldest population in Europe. I think after Japan, we are the second country with the oldest we die very old. I don't know in English. So and this means that our senior LGBTI communities are very present inside some services, but they are not visible. They are not totally visible, I mean, but one thing that was important in the last years here in Italy is that in 2016, In Italy, we had the civil union, and that was the first, civil union are not wedding, but is a first step to recognize some kind of relationship that in Italy before, previously, they were not recognized by our government. For example, these gave to, for example, senior, but not only senior, to LGBTI couples here in Italy the possibility to, for example, to be together in at the hospital. If one of them is in the hospital, the other one can go to visit this person. Previously, that was very, very, very difficult. Or when you die, you can leave something to the other person in an immediate way without to write with a private written something private letter. This. So in 2016 we had this kind of new law that is still valid, and this was something that gave us the possibility to build a first step to create something new in future, and a better future for LGBTI senior people. What else? I'm trying to understand if I'm, I think that I'm 25 minutes more or less.
Yes.
I'm finishing, but the only one thing, because after this meeting I will have an appointment this afternoon about what I'm going to tell you now, is, for example, in Italy we had, in Bologna, we had a quite a big problem in the last month, because during lockdown, in between March, April in Italy, we had total lockdown, so we were completely closed. And we had a problem. For example, we work with a trans person, is a trans woman that now she's 60 years old. And during lockdown, for example, they receive a visit from I don't know in English, but the, who sell and buy houses. Okay.
Okay. I don't know how to say it in English either.
I tried to look for this word before, but it was something that I don't think is right, so I prefer to explain that is. And not only with the person that we follow with the organization, but even in other cases, this kind of shop, they bought houses for a very low price. For example, in Bologna as the first university in Europe, so we have many people that every year come in the city. So to buy a house in the city center of the city is very, very expensive. And this kind of service, this kind of shop, they bought the house of this person for 10,000 euro. So they paid something like 90% less of the real value of the house. And they were doing something like that with other LGBTI senior people in the city that they knew that were alone, that they knew that they needed money. And so they gave this money directly to the person that we work with. And after that, we had some new cases of homelessness inside our senior LGBTI communities in our local level. So today in the afternoon, we are going to meet the lawyer to try to solve this kind of situation, because of course this person now, they don't have a place where to stay anymore, and it's very difficult, as you know, for trans people go in a homeless shelter to live there. And if you are a person that is 60 and you live all your life in your private house, to go suddenly in a homeless shelter is not easy. It's not easy for everyone, but I think it's harder for a person that is trans and is 60. So it's a very sad situation. The last thing that I want to say is like about the two videos that you saw before during the presentation, and you saw that there were two persons that spoke in Italian. The first one is Raffaele. He is owner of the only LGBTI bookshop that you find in the city, but actually in Italy, I think that in Italy we still have only three kind of this shop. And he's very important because he's a very big source of memories about LGBTI history here at a local level, but even at the national level. And the second story is from Mizia, that is the trans lady that you saw. And this is a very interesting story. So I suggest you to see the story, the complete story on the YouTube channel of Best4Older. She had coming out at 60 and she started the transition from male to female at 60s. She were in a heterosexual wedding, and she has a son that he is 20 years old. So it's a very interesting story, even because there is a story of coming out with the family, with the original family. So it's a very interesting story. And as you see, even between people that are member of the same community, the LGBTI senior community, you can find a very, very different various stories, personal stories. You find rich people, you find poor people, people, for example, that started to do coming out at 60s. Many people that we work with, they started to do coming out or transition at 60s, and this brings a very big change in their life suddenly, because they have to approach with their family, and sometimes they don't have the support of the families. In some cases, some of these people lost everything, for example, house. And we had one case of another person that got homeless for this reason. So you understand the situation is not easy. I think that I spoke too much.
No, it was great, Jonathan. Thank you. And thank you for promoting the testimonial videos of the project. They are really good stories, and I also invite you all to check it on our website, because I think when you get the chance to know real people and their stories, you also have a different idea of what they been going through, and it helps a lot to understand everything. I don't know if you have any question for Jonathan. I think we first, let me just say that we have participants helping us, Jonathan. So the right term is real estate agent.
Okay, that was what I found in Google Translator, but I was not sure about that. Okay, thank you.
Okay, we have Alessia here saying that, I will read, okay, Alessia, I think that the question of rights during the lockdown also particularly affect the LGBTI community, as for a long time in Italy, visiting relatives was regulated in a very conservative way. I would like to ask Jonathan if he has dealt with this issue in his work. Thank you. And thank you, Alessia, for your question.
I think that this is a problem even for all the members of the LGBTI community in Italy, but I think around Europe, for example, but even in Italy, because we have this new word. Actually is not new, because in our dictionary congiunti means something, but suddenly this word that means person that live with another, that share something with another person, sometimes share feelings with another person. Suddenly this word got something very used daily in our media, in our daily life. I think this is something very something that had an impact in the life, even for LGBTI people, because most of the people, even in LGBTI senior community, they have a different approach about coming out. Some of them, they think that coming out is not necessary. Some of them think that is a political tool or something very important in their life. So you find, but uh, coming out is something that we found less in the LGBTI senior community. For example, if you during lockdown, or if during this situation that in Italy is like a middle situation, so now we have some colors. Emilia Romagna is orange, another region is red. So it means that if you have a different color, you cannot do something in another place with a different color. You cannot do something else. So it's very complicated to understand what you can do or not. For example, if the police stop you to control, it's something like, and you say, I have to visit my boyfriend, I have to visit my husband. Actually, if you, for example, if you are in a civil union, maybe it's different. But if you don't have any certificate or something, and you say that you have to meet someone else, you have to do something like a forced coming out, and it's not easy for everyone. Even to me, that I'm an actor with LGBTI people, my boyfriend lives in another city in my region, but to go there, I have to take a train. If they stop me, I have to do every time that I have to go to find my boyfriend. Maybe it's not easy, or maybe I don't want to do that with another person or with a policeman, or I don't know. So this is something that is not easy. And this brings even another topic, that is the lack of visibility in our census. For example, only in the last one, Istat, that is the Italian agency that do survey, started to count how many LGBTI couples are present in Italy. But even without numbers, data about this, probably the government, they didn't think about the possibility there were even LGBTI couples, or how to protect LGBTI people that don't want to do coming out or something like that. So this is another thing that we should think about for the future, for sure. There is something else I see.
Yes, from Sylvia. We got feedback from Serbia about the fact that elderly lesbians were totally isolated because the Serbian COVID policies locked down totally peoples over 65, and the only persons who can help them were the members of their families.
Yeah, another thing that I realized now, for example, I don't know the situation in the other countries, but in Italy, for example, there is a very strong division between the male LGBTI senior community and the female one. I mean, the two movements have two different, in some parts is a common history, but they have even two different histories, and sometimes these two histories don't match. So sometimes it's not even easy to involve, for example, bisexual or lesbian senior women in some projects, because maybe they had some problem with activist topics before, or activist stories before, and don't want to share, or sometimes the problem is from the male. So there is even this kind of topics that doesn't help sometimes to build a common future for our LGBTI senior communities and for our future. I mean, now my generation is the first one that is very visible. I mean, in Italy, of course, not all around the world, but we should maybe start now to think what is our future, how to build a better future for LGBTI people around the world, of course, but in some countries there are no basic rights for LGBTI people. So we start to there is this, I think we should go there, but okay, I will be very fast. There is a a theory that says that you can start to talk about intersectionality when you receive, when a country or a local, a region or a city received and reach the basic rights for LGBTI people. So after that, only after that, you can start to think about intersectional needs. In Italy, we started, and intersectional needs are more visible, and people talk more about that after 2016 with the civil union. Of course, it's not, civil union are not the best thing that we can have, but in my opinion, just my opinion, I repeat, is like the first step. And from there, we can start to do something more. Okay, I stopped.
No, Jonathan, thank you. I was thinking that with the comment from Sylvia, and remembering what you just told about some people only coming out in their 60s or 70s, and sometimes losing everything and having some isolated from their families. And during this COVID pandemic, if they don't have families and they live alone and without getting to get in touch with friends or their social networks, it's even more difficult, I believe, for people in this situation. I would like to thank you a lot, Jonathan, because I think you gave us I don't know the English
yeah.
the word.
Can I say about lockdown? Because, for example, now you were saying something about lockdown. For example, during lockdown, we saw that, for example, we have a online community on Facebook, a very big group. We have 800 people around our country. And we saw that during this month, they created an online activities that before the group was something like, yeah, sometimes I post something, sometimes I comment something, but now during this month we saw that they had more activities between them. They create some groups, so you can find the group if you need, or if you want to add. It's like I am the name of our organization, Senior LGBTI Topics, or something like that. You can find that and you can add, okay, if you want to join the group. Okay, stop.
Great. Thank you so much. We have also Georgia commenting that in Greece, transgender people, we don't have the ID name matching her name, as some problems with police during the lockdown. So I think I'm afraid we don't have a lot of time, because I was preparing myself to ask questions, but I probably will get in touch with Jonathan. But I would like to thank you for showing us so many different ways of advocating for LGBTI people, for older LGBTI people. I thank you everyone for being here. Also, I'm sorry we don't have so much time to ask questions, but just one, because I have 1 minute. Jonathan, you were telling about the stamp, the certificate for institutions and services. I have one question. Who will do that certification?
I saw in the Dutch experience, they do this with local institution. So they provide NGOs, private NGOs, and private services like cooperatives, something like that. With the local municipality, they provide this kind of certificate. Now we are trying to do the same. We created a network between the projects in Italy that work with LGBTI communities. It's not easy, even because there is the lockdown, but even because some of the activists are getting older, and so they don't have time, that they have the power to do that. So it's not easy, but this is our next project, our next goal. The project is still existing, but it's not easy to finish that. Even during lockdown is more complicated. So I think we should leave in 50 seconds.
So I will thank you all for participating in the workshop. Thank you, Jonathan, for accepting our invitation.